Hello, my name is Andy and I am the village idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to the district of Newark and Sherwood, and there's a bus which is just about to come past me here, and it's important in this place. Here's the bus, it's heading for Newark. That's one of the fleet of Marshall's coaches, and they're based right here in Sutton-on-Trent. Sutton-on-Trent is a large village and parish in Newark and Sherwood, Nottinghamshire, situated on the Great North Road and on the western bank of the River Trent. The village contains 2,450 acres of land, and according to the 2001 census it had a population of 1,327, which increased marginally to 1,331 at the 2011 census. It's located 8 miles north of Newark-on-Trent and 10 miles south of Retford. Every year here a festival is held, normally on the first weekend in September. The festival is organised by the festival committee, with local businesses and residents working together to make it what it is. Normally, the event consists of classic cars, a steam rally, Morris dancing, and there's music by local bands and artists. Sutton-on-Trent has a magazine called the Beck and Trent Monthly News. It covers Sutton, Carlton-on-Trent, Weston, Grassthorpe and Normanton-on-Trent, and it's a great source of local information. This is a village that has a fantastic sense of community, but it does lack a large village hall. There is a small village hall on the Crow Park estate, which has a pop-up post office on limited days and times. It's so small that it wasn't marked on the map and my route misses it out. However, this doesn't stop Sutton being an extremely active village. There are many clubs and organisations here which include the Morris Dancing Club, the Sutton-on-Trent Cycling Club, a Bridge Club and a Sutton-on-Trent History Club. Speaking of history, Sutton has plenty. Dredging of the River Trent in this area has revealed fossilised mammoths' teeth and tusks and items of Roman and Anglo-Saxon pottery. The village is mentioned in the Domesday Book, and a Norman church was built here in the 13th century. Oliver Sutton, Bishop of Lincoln from 1280 to 1299, was from the Sutton branch of the influential Lexington family on his mother's side. He was an unusually popular bishop and officiated at the funeral of Queen Eleanor in 1290. In May 1686, the manor and lordship of Sutton-on-Trent were sold to Richard Levitt, later Lord Mayor of London, and his wife Mary. In Farholme Lane can be found the Old Manse and the Old Chapel. These are the remnants of the small particular Baptist church that existed here from 1822 to the 1900s. In 1870 to 1872, Sutton-on-Trent was described as a parish comprising 2,930 acres, and the manor belonged to the Right Honourable J.E. Denison. There were corn mills here. Milling was historically a major industry in this part of Nottinghamshire, as we've seen before in nearby Tuxford. In fact, one of them still proudly stands in Sutton-on-Trent, and we'll see it later. By 1900, the area was best known for basket making. The Marshall family, who own Marshall's coaches, have lived in Sutton-on-Trent for over 200 years, and by tradition, they were basket makers. This is reflected in the company crest, which symbolises both basket weaving and beekeeping, along with the River Trent running through its centre. The Marshalls are a key part of life here. It's they who supply the festival field and parking field for the annual event. Time for some demographics. Sutton has seen an increase in population over the last decade, although it's been fairly minimal. It's up by just 0.11%. Most of the people that live here identify as white British. That's a figure that currently stands at 99.1%. It's an area that covers a large 10.6 square kilometres, and despite the presence of the Holmes, Sutton-on-Trent still clocks a population density of 127.3. The average house in this part of Nottinghamshire goes to the modern market with a value of £256,000. Amenities wise, we begin with the shops, and Sutton has one main shop, that's a Lincolnshire co-op on the high street. The deli at number 4 is, according to their Facebook page, a butcher's shop, but it's so much more than that. They have delicious handmade produce, locally sourced meats, cheeses and specialty foods, and they serve coffee too. The village also has 2 hairdressing salons, Helen's Hairdressing and The Box, the latter of which is seen right here. Sutton-on-Trent Primary School is a feeder to Tuxford Academy. This is situated close to the church, at the village's northern end. Speaking of the church, here it is. All Saints Church on Church Street is part of the Beck and Trent Church of England benefice, and it was repaired in 1848. It's a beautiful Grade 1 listed building dating from the 13th century, with additions in the 15th and early 16th centuries. It has many superb original features, having escaped the widespread Victorian renovation which changed the look of many village churches. There's been a church on this site since Saxon times. When in a churchyard, always look up, because this is probably one of the most fantastic churches I've seen so far for decorative features. Look at these, and then we've got the priest door just underneath. Fabulous. Sutton-on-Trent Methodist Church on the High Street, which is part of Newark and Southall Methodists, is still active. Both churches have regular services. The library has recently moved into the Methodist Church. Behind it you'll come across a community centre which hosts coffee mornings one Saturday every month. There's a recycling point down here too. There's a couple of playgrounds. This one here is at the end of Strawberry Fields, a new estate off Grassthorpe Road. A new community centre is planned to be built here at some point too. Here's another play area and open space just off Station Road. The main sports and recreational area Sutton-on-Trent has is on Grassthorpe Road, and in 2019 it had a full renovation. It's perfect for many events. The village pub now, this is the Lord Nelson on Main Street. It has a mixed use room at the front, which is often used for live music, and there's a restaurant at the rear. And here we have the Old England Hotel. This is a mock Tudor inn established when Sutton-on-Trent was on the Great North Road. Check out this landmark too in their gardens. So here we've got the Old England and the Old England Gardens, which is this here, I believe. Although there is a stone over there that says Old England Gardens as well, but I assume it just means this. And in the gardens we have this, the Old England Hotel, Sutton-on-Trent. Millennium Stone, the year 2000. Good old grit and keen endeavour. These millstones outside the door are a surefire signal that this was indeed a milling area, and it surely was. The village has a busy doctor's surgery. This is Hounsfield Surgery, which has 3 resident GPs, 2 nurses and visiting midwives. The village's old red telephone box is where you're going to find the defibrillator. And of course there are bus services. Marshalls, based here, operate several regular routes around the Newark area and provide the Retford to Newark bus service, which passes through the village. Cuckstool Dyke runs through the village and into the River Trent. Its name might be familiar if you watched the Wellow episode. Same name, same reason. Between the village and the River Trent are the Holmes, a major local landmark. They cover some 200 hectares of open riverside meadows that have been divided into gaits for traditional grazing since the 18th century. So there is part of Sutton-on-Trent on the other side of the river, this bit here, Smithy Marsh. Nice name. So obviously the Trent comes down here. These are the homes, and then Smithy Marsh is like a little exclave on the other side of the River Trent. So let's have a look at them. Here they are, stretching from the village to the bank of the River Trent. The gates are owned by a number of organisations and individuals and are auctioned in March each year to farmers and graziers for a period of 7 months. After that, they're cleared of cattle and sheep in order to rest the pasture for the following year. So the bank of the Trent is actually quite a long way from here. There's a guy on the meadows there, on the Holmes, walking his dog. He's about halfway between where I am and where the bank of the Trent is. It's still a long distance. It's a big area, this. There are several access points on foot to the homes, but I don't recommend Middle Home Lane. That stile was hard to climb over. There are 2 great features both in and close to the churchyard. The first is the Lit Gate, which doubles as Sutton's War Memorial, with this plaque on the side of it. Then check out this sundial. This dates from 1743 and is listed grade 2. I can confirm it was telling the right time too. Who needs digital watches? I passed a couple of old religious buildings on my walk around too. Here's the old Wesleyan Methodist chapel on the High Street. This has a date stone reading 1821. And here's a second old chapel dating back to 1841, and it was converted to a residential property in 1986. It's on the corner of Hemplands Lane and Station Road. Now to Sutton Mill, a brick-built tower windmill. It was owned by the Bingham family of Grassthorpe from the 1860s until 1984. The 4-storey tower has now been converted into a house. It's a prominent feature of the village at the southern end and can be seen from the A1 quite clearly. It's been that way since 1814. Now there's a number of what appear to be former shops or business premises in the Sutton-on-Trent area too. Here's one such building that I spotted on my walk around. One for you Sutton locals. What did this building used to be? Looks like a shop front. Any ideas? This looks like another old shop, and above the door here there's a stone. 1905. Be interesting to see what this one's all about as well. Right, this is a little bit hard to read. Sutton-on-Trent Parish Council Centenary 1894 to 1994. It's a bench outside the primary school. So then to Marshall's Coaches, or more accurately, Marshalls of Sutton-on-Trent. They're a large employer here and they've been going for more than 40 years. So all those times we've talked about bus services in this part of Nottinghamshire and we've mentioned Marshalls, they're based right here in Sutton-on-Trent, and they have 2 sites. This is one of them and the other one I'm hoping to see later. And here we see the former Crow Park railway station, which served the village from 1882 to 1964 on the East Coast Main Line, and that of course is still very much here. Now you don't often get to see this. That there of course is the old station house, and here's the railway line that it used to serve. That of course is the East Coast Main Line. Now when that was built, it cut another channel favourite in half, and that is the Great North Road. They meet just here. How about that? 2 channel regulars meet at this point here. If you were to go the other side of the railway line, you'd be on an industrial estate, and that's where the old Great North Road would continue. Right, I'm pretty much all the way around Sutton-on-Trent. Time for you guys to have today's picture bit. Here it comes right now. Okay, so to finish this one off, I'm now on the other side of the railway line. You can see the station house, which we saw earlier, in shot now. And to my left is an industrial estate. Now these buildings here look very much like old railway buildings, probably been modernised and renovated now. You'd have thought they are anyway, because they're right next to the East Coast main line. And basically all I'm going to do to finish this off is put the camera on the dashboard. We're going to drive from here and down into Carlton-on-Trent, which will be next week's episode. And on the way we'll pass the second site of Marshall's coaches and a few other bits and bobs that I haven't managed to cover in the rest of the video. So here we go then. This has been the parish of Sutton-on-Trent, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out. Okay, there's no traffic behind me. I'm just going to slow down a little bit. On the left is the other site of Marshall's coaches. You might not be able to see it very well because there's some trees in the way, but that's where they are. Poplar Farm is what it's called, Poplar Farm.